Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're listening to the Ask Brien radio show on KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. And as we try to do each week, we try to provide information regarding business to people. Each week we've been doing this now since January 2017, and some of you don't know this, but our co-host today, who's stepping in, was our second guest. Wow. So he knows a little bit about the show. He was also my co-host for many years, but he's up into bigger and brighter things going on. So the Ask Brien show, we try to interview either a founder or a startup or try to teach something about business to people each week. That's what we try to do. And Ask Brien is spelled Askbrien. Alex, are you there?
Yeah, Mr. Brian Johnson. I hate being in second place, so I have to
whoa!
get rid of that first guest you have. I have a question for you, though. Why Brian with an E? That seems kind of strange.
I go to the pub a lot, O'Brien's down the street. But and by the way, I do have a relative who was the first Jewish mayor of Dublin, so I do have a little Irish in me. But that's not why Brian is spelled with an E. There are many reasons, though. One of which is each week we try to educate our audience by trying to teach them something about business. Today's show is going to be very, very interesting. Pretty much AI and marketing and analytics are going to be involved. But each week we try to educate people, and so that's one of the reasons why Ask Brien is spelled with an E.
Is that the only reason?
No. Come on. Are you joking? All right. So one of the reasons why Ask Brien is spelled with an E is because we get so excited! Woo! Yeah. You got to be excited for what you do in life, right? That's it's almost similar to passion, but when you're excited, think of how much easier it is to do something. When you're excited about coming to work, when you're excited to get, wow, oh my God, I just found out this information. Excitement is the lifeblood. So that's one of the reasons why Brian is spelled with an E. Also, I have a feeling the founder didn't know how to spell Brian. He thought it was, he thought Brian was spelled B-R-I-E-N. He didn't realize most people use B-R-I-A-N or B-R-Y-A-N, but, can't talk for him.
He's not too bright. What can I tell you?
He's a lawyer.
Yeah, he's a lawyer. What does he know?
Well, I guess I'll have to do it myself because... But anyway...
I really want you to.
I can see that. Another reason why we have an E in both our guests and myself are entrepreneurs. And entrepreneur is an E. And so obviously Brian caters to and tries to help out entrepreneurs build businesses and whatever they can do. So that's one of the other reasons. And in addition to excitement, which is very, very similar, there's also another one, which I'm not going to go berserker on, which is enthusiasm, which is pretty much equal to excitement. And our co-host, who's not on the show today, she likes Olivia Newton-John, and she always talks about grease lightning is electrifying, which I don't understand. I mean, I guess she watched that Grease movie a lot, and so she just thinks that, she's, starting those cars and fixing the cars to speed them up so they can run the drag race. And by the way, if anyone would know about that, that would be you, Alex. You probably know how to repair the engine, which begins with an E, and our engineer.
Definitely engines and engineers, but really, if you ask me, there's one more E that's the most important.
Well, we're going to let you tell everyone.
Well, I think that's experts. I think that's what Ask Brien is all about. It's about bringing experts together and being able to talk about business. But what does it take to be an expert on the Ask Brien website?
So what we use is a formula. I guess it could be in a logarithm, but it's really a formula. And we say that you typically need 5 years. And why? Because you're typically working 40 hours a week, and you're typically working 5 days, okay? And then you're typically working 50 weeks a year. You're getting 2 weeks off. So that's about 2,000. And if you multiply that by 5, that's 10,000. But as an entrepreneur, I have not yet met, I'm going to have to rephrase this. I've not met a successful entrepreneur that is able to work those limited hours. Typically, any entrepreneur that I'm aware of is working 60 to 100 hours a week. So typically, I don't think it's going to take a typical entrepreneur that long. It's probably going to be about 2 years. But honestly, if you don't have the experience, which is another E, okay, you're really not going to have the expertise to help people. And to help people out, you really need to know something really, really well. And repetition, which is not an E, is how you learn, and that's how you have a great ability to become an expert and to help others and to go through it so that they can get done a lot quicker, which is really what the E is all about. But,
so that would be experience that people would have. And we're going to have to ask our guest today how long she thinks it took her to become an expert and how much experience she has. Does that sound good?
I definitely think it sounds good. And by the way, where is the applause buttons or any of these things? I mean, I don't know. Our engineer fell asleep. You know how it is with screen time nowadays on the iPhones or whatever he's doing.
I know.
And he's clapping for that. Okay. Probably clapping for something else, but that's all right. All right, well, without any further ado, and I love that word, and the reason why I love it is why? Well, I love it because there's almost all vowels.
It's a lot of vowels.
That's exactly right. And so I say, without any further ado, we're going to start this interview, and view has an E in it, and an I in other letters. So our guest is Mia. Mia, are you there?
I'm here. Hi, Alex and Peter.
Great to meet. And your company is called Clickvoyant. Does that have anything to do with clairvoyant, or is that just it just came out that way?
Oh gosh, we're big lovers of puns around here, and Clickvoyant is a pun on the word clairvoyant, as we measure clicks, but also we're an analytics platform that gets you insight so fast it feels like we're psychics.
Wow. So let's go quickly. What is your background before you got involved in Clickvoyant?
Before I got involved with Clickvoyant, I had a 15-year career in digital marketing analytics. So, that's starting way, way back in the days when people would sort of pat my head and say, that data is nice, and send me back off into my corner where they would then go execute on their marketing strategies on instincts. So, yes, I've been doing this a long time. How long, you asked the question, how long did it take me to become an expert? I will say the data is changing so much every year that it's rare to find an expert in analytics and customer behavior, but I have been doing it a very long time.
And when you started, I imagine Google Analytics hadn't even come around yet, right? Because that's about 20 years old. So I don't know how long Clickvoyant is, but was it before or after Google?
Well, Clickvoyant's really only a 3-year company. We are an analytics AI startup, and but my career begins since before Google Analytics was. Or actually, Google Analytics at that time was a product called Urchin.
Right.
Wow. So that's completely different.
Yeah. Paleolithic era for customer data.
Oh, that's like our co-host.
Thank you
for
very
engineering.
much. Thank you very much. That predictive behavior of yours is easy for us to work with. Thank you.
Well, that's why you're the only guest host I can get when Tracy's out because everyone has already been. I've used all my puns on everybody else. So
that's true.
Now, you worked at this other. Did you work at one company? Were you independent? How did you before Clickvoyant? What were you doing? Working for a company or doing it on your own?
I was primarily working at the large, Big Five Big Five agencies. So you think about Omnicom, JWT, Publicis companies. I very much, as a younger person, wanted to grow my career in data analytics, and those companies were the biggest companies that had the most amount of data, where I thought, obviously I'm going to do the most amount of good with my analytics skills over there. But those agencies, after touching several hundreds of brands from Mattel to Toyota to Google, I quickly realized that what I had wanted to work on were companies that actually react quickly to insights, and I found really my passion in the smaller market, more of the mid-market.
So Clickvoyant was started 3 years ago. Are you the sole founder, or are there other founders?
There were other founders passing through, but yeah, I am the solo founder now.
And how did you come up with the concept, you and the group of other co-founders?
Well, when you're working in a digital marketing agency, you do see a lot of brands. One data analyst is usually seeing at least, maximum 4 clients. And the industry has grown so much that, the amount of talent required to analyze all the data is deficient. In fact, there's a $200 billion gap in analytics talent right now. So the end result is that, A, there's not enough people to do all the work, means that talent is very pricey, and a lot of companies are very pricey for that. 2, the thing that I was experiencing as a director of analytics was talent churn. The average churn of a data analyst is 12 to 18 months because, every analyst who actually pays attention knows that you can get a salary increase of 20% every time you jump ship. So inside a corporation, it's just very difficult to get an analytics center of excellence off the ground when you're having churn every 12 and 18 months.
Alex, you had a question?
So we built it.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
So, yeah, it's okay. Well, I want to start a little bit with, it's a great background, by the way, but I want to take our audience. Our audience are a lot of small and medium business. A lot of them are startups or just starting up, as we always like to say. And they may not understand what the whole data analytics piece is, data-driven decisions, as I like to call it. People may not understand why that's important. You mentioned early on when you were talking about how people used to use gut feel a lot. And I think a lot of people still go into a business because they've seen a gap in the market, right? Always you start a business because you see there's a need, and then they think they understand it, but often the business moves and the data doesn't support where they're going. So can you talk a little bit about what you mean by data analytics and how that would work with someone?
Absolutely. So I'll start out by defining what I think everybody thinks analytics is, and then I'm going to tell you what I think analytics should be. Right now, when we're doing, we're all startups, we're doing our jobs to be done, we're understanding what customers say, how do they talk, what do they need, what are their pain points. And when our customers who are startups, SMBs, even up to mid-market, say things like, oh, I just need analytics. I'm going to go buy a dashboard. They think that because I've got these KPIs, like these key performance indicators, visits, transactions, leads, closes, that they have checked the box on what data analytics is. But to their credit, all of the other softwares out there are pretty much delivering these dashboards and saying, you did it. Analytics is done. You're a data-driven company. But what I believe about analytics is that we've developed this 20 years of bad habits on KPIs and charts and dashboards, and we've missed the analysis part of analytics. What I believe that analytics should be doing is another E, which is creating empathy between the customer and the business. The root word of the word data in Latin is dato, which means to give. And I think about that all the time, and that every click, swipe, gallery view, download, webinar visit is an opportunity for a brand or a company to listen to their customers and try to create that empathy to deliver them the things they need. So what Clickvoyant does, when I say, what is data analytics, it is an analysis of consumer behavior with all of the marketing touch points along the customer journey to reveal what behaviors are leading to ultimately conversions and customer lifetime value.
Yeah, you just define. No, I think that's great, and I want to unpack it a little bit. And I think you just defined one of the biggest problems that people have today is that they either get the analytics to support what they believe So, you can always move the numbers to make them believe what you believe. Or they get that, as you say, they check the box, but they don't go to the next step and say, what does this mean to me? What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? I'm successful because this is the standard I set for myself, and these are the numbers I'm getting. But why am I getting those numbers, and what would I do to do it? I mean, that leads to the other piece of this, which is always the A/B testing, right? How do you feel about that as well?
Oh, it's the lifeblood of any business. But what you describe, Alex, like when we say, we're manipulating the data to tell our story that we want to tell, that's what my Chief Operating Officer, Scott, says is data driving. I'm driving the data. I want
Very good term.
To say, when we say we're data driven these days, and companies say that, they're really, it's kind of tantamount to like, I eat my vegetables. Okay, well, you eat your vegetables because you want to optimally perform in your body and aging process, or you eat that piece of lettuce with your Big Mac once a day. What does it mean to eat your vegetables? What does it mean to be data driven? And that breaks out into these three categories. One, you're data driving, like I am manipulating the data to tell my strategic story that I want to execute on. Number two is, and this is the really interesting piece, and I think where most people are, which is something's not right in my analytics solutions. I'm going into this dashboard, I'm going into that one, I've got this. I mean, startups and SMBs right now, they're so inundated with data that they do not know how to handle. Your e-commerce property, your TikTok, your email, your all these things that we have to do in digital marketing to stay relevant and in touch. It's creating these mountains of data that they just have no experience managing. And so it's always like, I don't know what to do, but I also don't know what the solution is. I want to be data-driven. I want to make better decisions, but I don't know what good being data-driven actually looks like. And then the third piece is we are a company that we A/B test all along the way. I will say we've touched so many, like our customer base is usually around e-commerce or, technologies around e-commerce, like B2B technologies. And what we've seen are, big established stores that are not data-driven at all, that are actually more data-driving, or they're checking the box in a dashboard, all the way down to the most impressive client that I've ever seen, which is a 4-SKU product that makes $30 million annually and A/B tests one site at least 10 times a month. They're the ones who are like anthropologic about why customers are clicking here, doing that, watching that video, adding this to cart, returning things, subscribing here. That is a data-driven company in my mind, and we're just not there yet. Decades later.
And I think, before I turn this back over to Brien, our host, I think you hit on the one thing that really is probably the biggest problem that people have had in the last 5 years, and that's that they are really checking the boxes on everything. So when you talk to a consultant to come in 90% of the time, or a new CMO comes in, or a new marketing VP come in, and the first thing they do is they go, are you doing A, B, C, D, E, F, G? Like, this is the methodology of how you're going to get customer acquisition and lead acquisition and lead gen. And they want to start with these programs and then look at the numbers, and as long as the numbers are up and to the right because you haven't done them before, you're doing something, it's the right thing. Rather than analyzing the data and going, should I be doing this? Like, are my customers on TikTok? Are they on Instagram? Or are they on LinkedIn? Or maybe they're on all. But let's test and see. And they just don't do that. We've fallen into this pit, the same as it was before. You know how it was. You worked with agencies and large companies. There was always that superstar at the agency that knew it all, and they would get all the business. It was he or she, and they were just the ones who had all the great ideas and everything. And if you had enough money, that was the go-to person that you hired from the agency, right? I feel like we're doing the same thing with data. Yeah, there you go. But I feel like we're doing the same thing with data. No matter what it says, we're manipulating those numbers and driving that data. That's such a great point. Such a great point.
And I know I'm going to just offshoot of that and say, and in addition, the thing that people don't talk about that I'm only going to say on the show, actually people do need to talk about, is there are a lot of high-salaried people in data analytics very happy to let you dictate what they should be doing. And with such a gap, a $200 billion gap in talent, like, that is so irresponsible. It is very irresponsible to just say, oh, yep, sure, pay me $250,000 annual year just to make this dashboard for you. Absolutely. Like, that's not helping anything. Not helping.
No, but it's very common too. It's very common. The grass is always greener on the other side, right? Someone comes in new and they just give you the numbers you want to hear rather than the reason, and this is what happens all the time. So that's great. Now, how can
we got to take a break, guys? We got to take a break. We're going to be right back. And as far as the grass being always greener, well, not always, because everybody's using artificial grass. And as far as vegetables, I like my favorite vegetable is French fries. All right, KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're listening to the Ask Brien radio show on KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. Like no other station in the world. Wow. Okay. I guess we are like no other station in the world. But we had a question, and we were talking about this on our break. And so, Mia, the question is, you've got all this raw data, and then we're supposed to analyze that data, and then based on that information, come up with a plan or do some form of an action in an A/B test to see how it will work out. So I want from you, if you can try to go over, give us an example of something that was some raw data. You took that raw data, you analyzed it, you came up with some concept from that raw data and said, let's A/B test this and hit it off the charts. Do you have an example of that? It could be at Clickvoyant or the company that you've worked for.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so, Clickvoyant, we talked earlier about what is actually a data-driven company. And I think that the reality is that there hasn't been enough examples. And that's because people are kind of mired in data architecture, setting things up, tagging for Google Analytics, tagging for Facebook. So we have automated the types of analysis that I talk about. So the behavioral analysis that helps lead to data-driven empathy by a company. And examples of this is like, say, okay, I mentioned that we have like a lot of software and a lot of e-commerce properties. In the case of a software, some of the things that we're looking at are, what are the behaviors at tiers? You've seen software tiers, high, medium, low. And a startup's inclination almost always is, oh, our competitors are lower than us. Let's lower even the lowest price to get this critical mass of people on this lower price. Well, the analysis starts to look at the conversion rate of everybody who visits the different product tiers and what is the conversion on that. And in the analysis of Clickvoyant, it's like, okay, well, we took a look at the conversion rate. This is so simple, but the conversion rate of the landing pages of the different product tiers and discovered that the highest product, the most expensive product, had a 25% conversion rate. Wow. And while it had much less volume, it had contributed like 3 times the revenue to the company and was, in fact, more than half of the whole revenue for the quarter. And by contrast, like when people are novice and don't have an analytics team, they don't see those kinds of things. They're not looking at the calculations or even very basic math about this. They're like, oh, highest volumes, top pages. I'm looking at highest volume of transactions, and it was at this like $59 mark. And so let's go optimize for that. So the kind of analysis that Clickvoyant is able to provide is like, okay, here's the product mix. Here are what the conversion rates and what the revenue mix looks like, and what does it mean to your business? It's the kind of thing that's like, oh, let's turn around our entire media strategy not to go after this $59 a month product, but to go after the lookalikes for everybody who in fact, A, convert higher, and B, bring in the most revenue. Another example is another product. Again, like we're talking about startup entrepreneurs, you start up with an idea that this is who my customers are, but the data allows that startup to become. Rather than like sticking in this idea that I had and who I think my customers are, the data allows you to watch your product become based on what the consumers are telling you if you have enough data for the consumer empathy. So in this case, like there's a sunglass company. we make performance prescription sunglasses, very high-end. We're going to target, athletes who are like semi-pro. We're looking at rowers and skiers and runners and that kind of stuff, right? Well, so all of the media spend naturally went in that direction. All of the volume was going into that direction. So the Clickvoyant analysis says, let's take a look at the audience segmentations of who actually is doing it, like male, female, and age ranges. Turns out that a higher age range, ages 55 and older, were spending $2 more per every website session than their target market. So they made a small amount of total site traffic because they weren't spending any dollars marketing to them, but they brought in 20% of their revenue. So this kind of like audience segmentation that Clickvoyant does typically would only be available to companies like that if they had an analytics department, which, if only 72% of analytics roles can be filled at the enterprise level, nobody's getting that department anytime soon. So it's the side hustle of a marketer. It's the side hustle of, some social media manager or a paid media manager. They can't do, and they don't know the questions to ask. So that kind of thing where it's like, oh, this is another company like, hey, let's go interview some of these, age 55 and older buyers. Turns out they're like, oh, yeah, well, we're retired and we're traveling and we have prescription sunglasses that we need to perform as well. And so they buy more and they lose them, so they buy more quantity. And that just led to an entire business strategy decision about who the buyer actually was.
We have 2 minutes, and then after the break, Alex, we can come back. But what is the minimum amount of data that you need to be able to make those type of decisions? I mean, obviously, if you've got 10 people and 2 of them were 55 and older, that's not going to be enough. You have to have a certain minimum. What is that, 1,000, 10,000?
Well, honestly, I think it comes to the amount of transactions. So, say if you're a software company, you might only have 10 big transactions in a quarter. So that's not actually appropriate. But we find that a revenue metric is somewhere, if you're a product somewhere above, 1 million in annual revenue, or getting there, and that's usually a good starting point. But we've seen, even 500,000 annual revenue companies that are doing smaller priced products but have a higher volume to work.
Well, so we have about a minute before our sponsor, so just wanted to quickly understand. So you're saying that you need $500,000 in revenue, pretty much minimum, with the data to be able to make these analysis. So what if you're a company and you just started out, or you have $100,000 in revenue? Are you saying that you can't analyze it, or you're saying that the data is not going to come back with a good enough response rate?
Well, I mean, I would say from that standpoint, what Clickvoyant is doing is talking about AI analysis, and we're talking about statistical models. You need to have enough data to be able to create a statistical model, but you don't need to have that much data to be data-driven. And by that I mean, making sure that you're collecting all of the data. First, Google Analytics is a free tool. If you have a website, usually that's an opportunity to understand what people are doing if you're not, a purely led sales organization. So having these free tools available to you, about if you're spending any kind of money in media, say, for example, or you're doing tests in Meta, those are the things that you want to capture the data on and start to dig into why people are doing what they're doing.
Well, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to be listening to our sponsor. And Stephanie, are you there?
I'm here.
I'm here. Okay.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Mr. Bill. All right, so we have 2 sponsors, maybe one after this show. So one of our sponsors is Albany Farms. Who is Albany Farms, and is that where I go the farmers market on Saturdays in Marina Del Rey and pick up my fresh vegetables, or like French fries? What's the deal?
You pick up French fries at the farmers market?
No, I was just telling earlier the audience that's my favorite vegetable, French fries.
Good question. So, Albany Farms is a startup food manufacturer located in Bellevue, South Dakota, and our primary item in our portfolio right now is fried instant ramen noodles. And we have 5 flavors that can be found in select Walmart Canada stores. In the U.S., you can find us in select Target, H-E-B, and Dollar Tree stores.
And what are the 5 flavors?
We have hot and spicy chicken, regular chicken, beef, veggie, and shrimp.
Wow. Well, that's pretty good. And then the other sponsors our company is Legal Steps. I understand that you've taken a course, so I want people, get firsthand knowledge. First of all, nobody knows what Legal Steps is, so first explain what that is, and then tell us about the course that you took.
Yeah, so Legal Steps is a do-it-yourself system to handle various legal issues, such as forming a business in California or even registering a federal trademark. It saves you thousands of dollars, and you're left feeling empowered and confident to navigate these issues on your own. My personal experience from taking the course is I learned a lot. I definitely recommend it to others, especially new entrepreneurs who are, trying to figure things out and don't have a lot of money to spend. I felt like the course was everything that I needed it to be and more.
Wow, super. Thanks a lot, Steph. Until next week, you'll be back, but I appreciate that, and thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Ta-ta.
Mia, we do have a question. We do ask every guest on this Legal Steps concept, and that question is, is that something that you could see a value in? And this is kind of analytics, right? So our sponsor wants us to ask that question. Do you see a value in having a do-it-yourself program that would teach you how to incorporate your business or register a trademark, especially as a founder of a company? Do you see that as a value to you? By the way, that's the entire analytics for the company. So you are the data point.
I am the data point. Well, I don't want to see you anything, so I'm definitely going to say medium. No, I'm just kidding. Absolutely. Anything that is going to help a founder save on legal bills, please. That is up my alley.
Well, that's super. Although there is a technical conflict since I am a lawyer and I like to get more money, but I do appreciate that comment. And
well, good for you for allowing them to advertise.
Absolutely. Alex, are you there?
Yeah, and my rule on that as well. The less you spend on legal, the more you can spend on marketing. So, and marketing equals sales, and sales is good.
A true marketer you are. The true marketer you are.
Would it be engineering, not engineering?
Yeah, right. What about engineering?
Well, we're already spending half the money on that to start out with, so we don't have to worry about that.
So half on marketing, half on engineering, and nothing left over. Gotcha. All right.
Don't worry about the sales. Sales don't matter.
Yeah, who cares about net sales?
Yeah, so I wanted to ask Mia a little bit about the AI part of her business. So I noticed in reading through all your information, you do your analytics based on AI. Can you talk more about that? I mean, we all know AI is a hot thing today, but how does it really work with what you're doing today?
Yeah, I think AI is so hot that we probably need a DEI program for artificial intelligence now.
It's true.
Wow.
It's probably true.
Everybody thinks that AI is now a large language model, and if you don't know what that is, that's ChatGPT. Clickvoyant's artificial intelligence is something that receives input, like ChatGPT, but the way that it gets the answers is very different. You're asking a question. If you want to say, how do I improve my website performance and get better, cost per acquisition from every lead? ChatGPT, which is a large language model, will start guessing what the improvement should be based on a lexicon of, what people have said over the last 20 years. It's true. What Clickvoyant does is actually dig into the user behavior made available by the data that somebody has on their Google Analytics data or Shopify store or CRM like a HubSpot, and says, do the thing that you're asking me to improve, whether it's a newsletter sign up, a podcast listen, do any of these other things that you market or do correlate, have a mathematic relationship to that end result? So, and then we quantify that. That's one part of an artificial intelligence. That would typically take, that's what a lot of people call automation. We're automating statistical research on the thing that you've asked us to discover. The second piece that Clickvoyant is working on is, analytics is only half math. The other half is relationships, trust, and communication. And so in the world where dashboards no longer are a modern solution, that the communication piece and how we start to develop somebody's relationship with their marketing data is the next piece of AI.
Wow, silence. Alex, I've never heard.
I hit the wrong button. It's technology.
Hey, I've never heard Alex be silent. I've known him for 17, 18 years, and I've never seen Alex silent.
I was just about to mic drop.
I just didn't know what to say, and maybe I didn't hit the button. No, I think I know what to say, but I couldn't hit the button. I think that's really interesting and very true. I think if we take a second on AI. It's most people think of AI as ChatGPT, as you talked about. I mean, it is the single fastest growing consumer download ever. There's no doubt about it. But as you say, it's not always 100% right, and it's predictive, and it does use some algorithms that are interesting to be able to acquire information. But again, like everything else, it's garbage in, garbage out, and it really is not specifically what we call process AI. It's generative, but not process. And so what you're talking about is more of what we consider process AI, which is most people find, other than if you're asking ChatGPT to help you write something, which, there's a bunch of issues on copyright and other things with that, but it really is, process AI is way more helpful to most businesses. And I think what you've done is you've taken this and put it into a manner where people can use it specifically without having to analyze the data that it analyzes. And that, I think, is really a key. So to that end, how easy is it to use your platform? In other words, you said it's not just a dashboard, but if someone works with you, how easy is it for them to get good results, and how long does it normally take?
We're going to have to wait to get that answer because we're taking a break. We're listening to KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. So with all that anticipation, folks, we'll be right back. Welcome back. You're listening to the Ask Brien radio show on KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. And we had that cliffhanger. There's no cliff. Come on. Okay. There's no cliffhanger language, so I'll just do it. Da-da-da-da-da-da! You're on. Okay, Alex, ask the question real quick, and we're going to get an answer.
Well, it's a memory test. I told Mia that she has to, during the break, I said, you have to repeat that question back and answer it, Mia, so go for it.
All right, I will do it. Well,
throw it all on her. Got it. She'll never be a guest again. Go ahead.
It's all right. It's all right, Dan. So my mind is a steel trap. Yeah, I mean, it's when people ask me, like, how does it work? How does somebody go in and get their data out, get the insights out that we're talking about? And I'll tell you, it's very easy. You just go in. So right now on our website, there is a free trial. Anybody.
What's the website, by the way, Mia? What's the website so people know the URL?
It's www.clickvoyant.com, not clairvoyant, Clickvoyant. And there you can connect. So the thing that is free to the front end right now to anybody to use is a Google Analytics for data connection. So some of your audience might already know that in 2 weeks, Google Analytics is pulling the plug on everything that you used to know for 15 years. And they're introducing this new platform, which nobody knows how to use. So you could go to Clickvoyant, connect your Google Analytics for data, ask it what I'm trying to improve, newsletter signups, webinar views, or a lead gen, and then Clickvoyant will go to work. Usually in 15 to 20 minutes, you'll get your insights from our front end, and also it exports a PowerPoint presentation with a data storytelling script for somebody less conversant in analytics. So it's doing the two things. One, analyzing your data based on a question, which is where the research really comes in, not just dashboarding. And it's also giving you, I don't know if you noticed, like a lot of data storytelling classes coming out, how to tell a data story. The script is all right there in the PowerPoint deck. So that's it. I mean, it really, the process AI that you talk about, Alex, it really is that easy. When I've been doing the same job over and over again for 15 years as a director of analytics, it's a ripe thing for disruption.
Well,
yeah, there's no doubt about that. I just want to mention one piece on that. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, I built an analytics product for looking at networks, and I realized the day that we finished it, that what people wanted were not the analysis, they wanted the action. So I patented something called a suggestion engine, which basically told them not what was wrong with their network, but what they needed to do to fix it. And it sounds like that's what you're doing, but using a much more sophisticated set of algorithms and AI. So that is fantastic, and I'm already a fan, and I'll be up on your website clicking for whatever I can get for free. So thank you.
Well, you'll be on any site you can get for free. I got you. I know you will. So,
yeah.
Mia. So, the name. Spell out the name, because everyone knows that your analysis is very clairvoyant, but they know the name of the company is Clickvoyant. So, why don't you spell out Clickvoyant so everybody knows how to get to your site?
Sure. It's CLICKVOYANT. And if anybody goes in there right now and subscribes to Clickvoyant, you can get 20% off with the Ask Brien with an E discount code.
Woohoo! That's my excitement. Woo, woo, woo! All right. So, and it's not a choo-choo train. Sounds like that one. All right. So, the next question is, if somebody wanted to reach out to you, is there a way they can do that? And obviously, don't use your personal email, because I don't think you want that. But if somebody wants to reach out to you or communicate, how can they get a hold of you?
I mean, if you go just search Mia Umanos on LinkedIn, I'm the only one in the universe as far as I know. You could even Google me and look at old SoundClouds and old MySpace. If you wanted to really go deep and get creepy, you could do that. That's how unique my name is.
Well, that sounds very, very creepy. And you are unique, so that's a good combination you got there. We don't have a lot of time left, so first of all, I want everyone to know that if you've missed any part of this show, there's a podcast version that's going to be on Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to your podcast. That'll be available in about a week or two. You can also watch this on a Facebook Live currently and a YouTube in the next few days. So Ask Brien, we have it on every week, 1 to 2 p.m., every Thursday, and we interview a person like me. Although honestly, you're a very good guest, and we have a very good co-host today. So it's been a great show, and we really appreciate all the time and effort that people are putting in here. I do think that people really analytics is very important, but on top of that, now you've added on the AI factor, and that's just like pretty much making analytics on steroids. So I think it's a great concept. We got to go. I see my engineer. KHTS 1220, 98.1 FM. Over and out.